Nathan Holic lives and writes in Orlando, Florida, where he teaches writing courses at the University of Central Florida and drives from 7-Eleven to 7-Eleven in search of the perfect fountain-poured Diet Coke. He is the author of the novel American Fraternity Man from Beating Windward Press and the editor of the annual anthology 15 Views of Orlando from Burrow Press, a literary portrait of the city featuring short fiction from 15 Orlando authors in each edition. Please welcome Nathan Holic.
Thank you. I thought for a while about, I don't know, what I would say at the very start. Wait, where should I start?
Oh, you're good.
Good.
I'm just going to raise the mic for you. Sorry. Here.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I thought for a while about what I should say when I first got up here tonight, just because I've never really seen my name on a poster before, and like that felt really special to me. And I guess there's a lot in Orlando right now, and a lot in the reading and writing community that feels really special to me. It's been amazing to see people actually pick up my book and read it. My book is about fraternities, which is not a subject I think that most readers of literary fiction care about or would want to read about. And it's been amazing to see so many people I really respect pick this book up, read it, and then either say or write really, really nice things about it. And so, I don't know, so I thought about a lot of different things to say tonight, but I guess maybe I'll save some of that till the very end. I'm going to start off tonight with, I have two excerpts that I want to read from my novel, and I have one short story, but like a lot of this is going to, I don't know, we're going to play it by ear. We'll see if you guys are still with me, if you guys are digging all of this. And I have like a lot of, like I spent so much time like finding all these crazy excerpts from my book, and like figuring out which one would be the right one to read aloud. So I might put it up for a vote at one point, like which of my 25 options would you guys like to hear? The first option, I think, or the first excerpt that I want to read is the book American Fraternity Man is about a college graduate named Charles Washington who takes a job with the national fraternity. And he goes out and he thinks he's going to save the world and change the culture. And this is the moment in the book where he arrives at his consultant orientation in Indianapolis. So this is the point where he's like, he's really pumped. He's ready to go. And so I'll start off with this excerpt, and then after this one, we'll see where I can take you, how well I can disillusion you. The sun had barely crept over the Indianapolis skyline, and the consultant orientation was still 60 minutes from starting. But already, I was convinced that my glorious new life as a role model was going to end in failure. Earlier that morning at the hotel, I'd packed up and left before the staff had even finished setting out the continental breakfast. Finally, I'd thought. Finally, my life was feeling like an Outlook calendar, not a Facebook page. Empty roads as I drove north, crisp skies free of jet trails, like the world was indeed offering me a chance to start a new profile. But when I arrived at the gravel parking lot of the Henderson Memorial Auditorium, a full hour early to the consultant orientation, expecting only empty spaces and cold rocks, expecting to beat my new colleagues to the first day of our new jobs, I found that several dozen of the other freshly hired educational consultants were already there, milling about the parking lot like early risers for Sunday service, competing to show the still sleeping pastor who was most devout. My first day of summer training for the new Kappa Epsilon National Fraternity Headquarters. An hour early, but somehow I was still late. They all stood outside in the mild heat of a Midwest summer morning, 22 and 23-year-old men and women straight from college or grad school, wandering and talking to one another, as if this was an evening cocktail party and not an early morning in a parking lot. From the seat of my Explorer, I could see them shaking hands and introducing themselves. I could hear their strong leadership voices even from inside, names always paired with alma maters. Jeff from Michigan State, nice to meet you. Gina from Bowling Green, nice to meet you. Tammy from Purdue, nice to meet you. We all wore brand new suits, dresses, ensembles purchased with graduation gift money, all carried leather planners and portfolio notebooks, all of us trying our damnedest to look like we'd been at this for a while. Only it didn't look like they had to try. They had it together, every one of them. One of the guys in the thick of the crowd saw that I was watching through my rearview mirror and that I was still buckled into my seat, and he waved me over, an emphatic flapping of his arm as if he was directing takeoffs and landings on an aircraft carrier. So I smoothed my pants, adjusted my tie, told myself that this was the right choice, and I joined them in the gravel where they'd clumped together. "Gina from Bowling Green," one girl said to me, curly brown hair bouncing, eyes so wide and full of delight that she looked like Will Ferrell's elf character, fed on a steady diet of gumdrops and pixie sticks. Clutching her portfolio notebook with such force that she was likely leaving permanent finger marks in the leather. "Nice to meet you," I said. "Charles, from Edison University." She cocked her head sideways, still smiling, but there was a disappointment darkening her eyes. Disappointment, perhaps, that I wasn't displaying the same high-volume enthusiasm. Behind her, two young women had their hands on one another's shoulders, bobbing their heads so much as they talked that it didn't seem possible that they could keep eye contact without getting dizzy. So I tried again. "Charles," I said, "from Edison University." Her smile faded, deep dimples disappearing but still leaving faint parentheses in her cheeks, like maybe her smile, or like maybe her face was unaccustomed to not smiling. She said, "Well, Charles, nice to meet you." And she scampered off into the crowd to introduce herself to someone else, and I checked my tie again, my belt, smoothed my pants. All around me, they smiled at one another in the same collegial fashion to which we'd all grown accustomed, from weekends spent at SEIFC or the Gulf State Leadership Convocation or a score of other Greek-themed conferences. Eyes lighting up as though they'd met a dozen times before, and it's so fantastic to see you again, and it seemed so easy and natural for all of them. The men stopped just short of raised voice excitement, favoring firm handshakes and hands on shoulders, and statements with only a single word or two extra emphasized, looking forward to working with you. But the women clapped and shouted. "You got the job," Gina from Bowling Green said to another young woman, and she was now far away, but I could still hear her. "Oh my God, this is going to be the best year ever." In another conversation, one stout young man pounded his fist into his open palm, thundering the words, and I said, "You buy in or you get out." Someone else said, "It's the drug culture. That's why I'm here. Stop the drugs." And someone else, "Helped my fraternity to become the first on my campus to accept gay men without reservation." And someone else, "The house occupancy was dismal when I first got there, and someone else, "So much opportunity to help that," and someone else, "And we need to really bring the energy, you know?" The Henderson Memorial Auditorium is the centerpiece for the Indianapolis National Greek Row, a single stretch of road in the unassuming heartland city of Indianapolis, where there is a carefully constructed corporate empire of national fraternities and sororities, headquarters buildings packed with full-time office staffs, and file cabinets and three-ring binders and databases and spreadsheets dedicated to maintaining the centuries of tradition within the world of Greek life, dedicated to reforming the fringe elements. My headquarters building was a quarter-mile away, all the way at the far end of Founders Row, a large gray triangle, the sharp point facing the road and the window-adorned wings spreading out in the grass behind it, fierce like a stealth fighter aimed straight for you. On the front lawn, distinctly visible from where we stood, was a gigantic set of concrete Nu Kappa Epsilon letters surrounded by white carnations, our national flower, and a small fountain which spurts water throughout the summer. We stood in a giant clump in the gravel, all of us super early in our first day of training with our respective national fraternities and sororities, fighting to show that our bodies were 90% excitement and only 10% flesh and bone. But even though we were all there for the same reason, a group orientation, I knew even then that some of us had more reasons than others. From 15 feet away, I could hear the Lambda Chi Alpha fraternity consultant detailing how he'd cleaned up the alcohol culture in his house, how it had inspired him to make a difference in the lives of young people. I could hear the sorority consultant from Alpha Xi Delta telling someone that when she was a freshman, They were the nasty girls on campus, the girls you picked up at the bar at 2 a.m. But she took over as president and flushed out the girls with the wrong priorities, changed the sorority from nasty to classy, changed the reputation, changed futures. That's what I want to do as a consultant, she said, empower young women to make the right choices. And yes, everyone around me had a story. Everyone around me sparkled with passion. They were born ready for this. Maybe the only thing I did have in common with all the graduates gathered there was that we all came from somewhere else. From Florida and Texas, California, New York, Chicago, and Seattle. Each of us from different fraternities, different sororities. Hundreds of gallons of gas for all of us to get here. Hundreds of hours driving in our Altimas and Explorers and Corollas. Some cars built for the travel, and others in the lot clearly winded from the effort. Hundreds of gas station stops, bags of Cheetos and Chex Mix and 44-ounce Diet Cokes. Dozens of hotel stays, bad coffee in styrofoam cups before hitting the road. We left behind vastly different campuses, Albright College, West Virginia Tech, LSU, Kansas. We left behind vastly different chapter houses, some of them 4-bedroom homes in neighborhoods outside campus, some of them 4-story mansions with 80 beds, boardrooms, libraries. We left behind friends, girlfriends, boyfriends, fiancés, or like Jen back at EU, someone we were hoping would become our fiancé if we could get through this year. We turned down offers for better jobs, better money. Well, not me, but most of them. We'd argued and argued with our parents, with our professors, with everyone who told us that it was a foolish choice to spend the next full year employed by a national fraternity or sorority. But we'd all signed up for this because we care about something greater than a payoff. Around me, the crowd was growing, gravel crunching as cars parked, doors opening, shutting, more shirts, more ties, more pantsuits and dresses, more portfolio notebooks, more introductions and handshakes and names paired with alma maters and Greek letters, more stories of leadership development and tough choices as the clock ticked closer to the start of the consultant orientation, more smiles that seemed more natural and genuine than mine, the purest of motives for every one of them because they were not hiding anything. They'd always been what I was seeing in front of me, their profiles always clean, lives always structured and disciplined and honest and good-hearted, and I straightened my tie again and hoped that no one was staring at me, seeing through me. So that's the orientation. Thank you. It's very kind. You didn't have to clap. Feels good though. Okay, so he wants to save the world, right? So I'm going to take you like 300 pages later. Like, you think this guy can do it, right? Like, he sounds awesome. I want this guy as my son. All right. So I printed out like all these, he goes to all these schools. He goes to Illinois, he goes to Shippensburg, he goes to Pittsburgh, and I was thinking of Bowling Green. I was thinking, which school? I printed out all these different copies. Which school could I take you to? And now I'm thinking that probably the biggest humiliation is Purdue University. Any Purdue grads in the house?
My dad.
Oh, that's right, John King. John King should love this part. Okay. So I should also say, all right, so we're like in October at this point, and though it might not say, there might not be anything that this matters for. This is the year 2008, so it's sort of dated. It's October, so it's kind of cold. And what else? I'm trying to think if there's anything else that matters at this point. I think we'll let the humiliation speak for itself. All right. Purdue University. Oh, and I apologize in advance if there are any children. This is where it gets kind of dirty. I say a lot of bad words. And I chose this also because I figured Lindsay's going to swear more than me. I figured I can get away with it. Nobody's going to remember this anyway. All right, here's the shower at Purdue. Oh, did I say shower? It's the shower at Purdue. There is a community shower in the second floor bathroom at the Purdue chapter house, what the brothers call a gangbang shower. And I've counted my blessings these last few days when entering an empty bathroom at 11 a.m. At Edison, we had individual showers, each separated from the next by cinder block walls, closed off from public view by plastic curtains. At most of the universities I've visited, the bedrooms have shared attached bathrooms with other bedrooms, or best case scenario, the guest room has enjoyed its own shower. And no matter how disgusting the tile floors or how impotent the water pressure, I've always been able to at least savor my privacy. No matter what the fraternity brothers thought of me, how they saw me, I could at least preserve an image in their mind of a man fully clothed. This morning, though, when I slink into the bathroom, it seems as if every brother who wasn't eating breakfast is now standing naked at the long row of shower heads. One after the next, they turn their heads to see me walk in, towel draped over my arm, toiletry bag in hand, frozen at the sinks. I can't leave, not now that they've seen me. The only thing worse than a naked wannabe professional is a fun Nazi too scared to get naked in front of the boys. One of them, a blonde-haired wrestler type, shuts off his shower, waits for a moment as the water slows to a dribble and swirls into the drain below, and then he turns around fully, proudly, not a flinch of shame or embarrassment. He shakes his hair from his eyes, blows the dripping water from the tip of his nose. There are towels stacked here at the sink, and so he walks, one leg dragging as if hobbled by a sprained ankle, straight toward me, settles beside me, the air around us suddenly thick with humidity and hot flesh. "You can have that shower," he says, slaps my back. I'm all finished. He grabs a towel, ruffles his hair, trudges out into the hallway, still wet and still naked, rubber flip-flops squeaking as he goes. "Hey, it's the consultant," says one of the guys in the showers, staring back at me with giant puffs of shampoo in his hair. "No way," another says. "We get the honor of showering with the fucking consultant." I say, "Quite the privilege." "Lather up. Plenty of room for you right here." They're laughing now, an echoing room full of steam and jet spray and bare asses, naked men who have seen 100 times before the swirls of hair on one another's chests, the pimples on one another's backs, the white nether regions of one another's thighs, the sadness or exuberance of one another's penises. Every single day, every single morning. Just skin by now. But me, I'm different. My every pore is new to this room. "Don't tell me that you consultants shower in your pants." I say, "No." I pull the shirt over my head, try to take my time in folding it and sliding it to one empty section of the sink. It's a stupid thought, but I find myself hoping that maybe this might all end if I stall long enough. Staring straight ahead into the mirror, I unfasten my belt, roll it as tightly as I can, place it atop my shirt. "Hope you brought soap on a rope, bro. Crazy things happen in the Purdue showers." Slip one leg out of my jeans, then the other. Better have a big national-sized cock, homie. Only big cocks allowed here. Hold my boxer shorts in front of my crotch for a moment. But no one is looking at me. They're washing the soap from their eyes, scrubbing their legs, working the conditioner into their scalps, rinsing their bodies one last time. I toss my boxer shorts into my pile of clothes on the counter, walk slowly and cautiously forward into the community shower with my toiletry bag blocking the view of my headquarters cock. My feet have never been colder in my life, and my chest has broken into goose flesh, but I eventually take the shower vacated by the wrestler, and when I turn the faucet, the water that hits my forehead is such a perfect temperature, feet thawed, chest thawed instantly, that I already know it will be difficult to shut off and creep back into the cold to grab a towel. "Best part of the day," the kid beside me says, his eyes closed as the hot water hits his face. "After this, I gotta walk halfway across campus for my first class. So fucking cold, the wind between these buildings." "Hot water doesn't run out?" "No, sir," he says and spits. "I feel like Kevin Spacey in American Beauty. After my morning shower is over, it's all downhill from here." But then he shuts off his shower, squeaks away in his flip-flops. Then, a moment later, another shower shuts off, and another. Brothers flopping away, chatting at the sinks, towel drying, leaving. And soon it's just me in the community shower, standing under the water trying to wash the dirt away, and there is no more laughter, no jokes, no comments, no greetings or goodbyes, no adjusting of handles and water temperatures, no more squeaking of sandals, no more rustling of towels or clothes, no blow dryers, no scratching of razors. Just one naked man in the second floor bathroom of a limestone fraternity house on a cold autumn morning, Not another sound in the world but the rush of hot water over my head and in my ears. One naked man now shutting off his own shower, tiptoeing across a chilly floor, searching for clothes on the counter. Gone. Searching for a towel, clean or dirty, anywhere. Gone. Alone, and it's all gone. I stand at the sink, dripping water, now chilly on my skin, cold, wet hair in my face. What the fuck, I say, hoping some merry prankster will laugh and toss my clothes back into the bathroom and this moment will end. But there's no response. I hold my toiletry bag over my crotch again, poke into the hallway, and it is there, naked and still wet, eyes wide and terrified, that the laughter begins, and the camera snaps, and then my socks are flung back into my face, and I say, fuck, again, as they clap and hoot, scampering away, retreating into separate bedrooms, knowing that I won't run, dick flopping after them, knowing that all I've got is a pair of dirty socks, so what else can I do? I ball up the sock over my crotch, and I lumber through the hallway, knocking on doors. My clothes, I yell with each knock. Give me my fucking clothes. Woo, woo, woo! Someone yells from somewhere, hyena-voiced. Who the fuck, I cry. Who stole it? This is juvenile. Inside one of the bedrooms, a stereo clicks on, heavy bass suddenly shaking the door. So I slam my fist against the door, try the handle, slam and knock again and again. Open up your door, open up your fucking door, I scream. Go away, someone says from inside. Studying. Open up your door. Gonna call nationals, dude. Tell them you're hazing me, not letting me study. Just give me my clothes, that's all I want. And then another picture snaps from the opposite end of the hall, and sock over cock I dart that way. The flash still registering in my eyes, but the photographer has ducked away like a sniper after a successful kill, and then a picture from the opposite end, and I charge that way, and there is music coming from another bedroom, and I stand in the center of the hallway, wet argyle patterned cloth in hand, balls aching from having been clutched so damn hard, and I say, fuck it, take your fucking pictures, you pieces of shit. And it's at that moment that I hear a noise behind me, a sound like dirty sheets tossed into the dryer, and when I turn, I see a pile of clothes. Not mine, but someone has taken mercy, tossed a gray Purdue sweatshirt and some jeans and a hand towel into the far corner. After I grab the stack, I retreat back to the bathroom sink to dry off and to warm myself in the sweatshirt. Facebook, yo, I hear someone shout from far away, laughing, and I want to storm out there and scream again, defend myself, defend my image as the National Fraternity Educational Consultant. But I know that whatever they captured on film, it is accidental brilliance, because you can find no better image to show the world what has become of Charles Washington on his mission to save the world. Thank you. How am I doing? Do I have time for a story? Or?
I'm not timing it, so yes.
Lindsay, can I do a story? Are you guys okay? Like, you all right? All right. Well, I had one short story that I wanted to read tonight for sort of sentimental reasons. For two sentimental reasons. One, this story was published on Hobart. And Lindsay Hunter was the guest editor of that issue. And I thought, what better transition, what better segue from me to her than to read a story that she hopefully liked and just didn't pick for cronyism's sake.
No. I reject a lot of my friends, actually. I feel pretty awkward about it, but I really like your story. So thank God!
Thank you so much, Lindsay. You are awesome. And the other reason that's sort of sentimental is because this piece, and I won't speak after I read this, I'll hopefully just let the piece stand. But this is the first piece that I ever read here at Urban Rethink several years ago, and it was when Ryan and Burrow Press were publishing those little chapbooks for There Will Be Words, which were so awesome, but so much work for him. And I really don't think he knows how much that meant to so many of us who read here over the course of that year, that we had those chapbooks. Like, I still have them on my bookshelf, and they're still so awesome to look through. So this piece is sort of like my thank you to him also, and I don't know, it mattered that you got a lot of us, Ryan and Jesse. Where's Jesse at?
Hi.
Oh. Jesse, who runs There Will Be Words, also. Like, it matters that you got so many of us who might have only been writing, in print or whatever, and you got us to read aloud. and you got us to really sort of value writing and literature as performance also. I'd hated readings before that series. Like I dreaded going to readings. And it was that series that really changed everything for me, and that really got me to connect with the Orlando community. So, I mean, so really, 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 really thank you. And after I'm finished, I'm gonna clap for you guys. And I hope that, sounds stupid. And I hope that everyone in here, I hope that you guys, both of you, can take that applause as your own too, because again, this meant so much to me. So, all right, so this story is called Angela's Baby. This was written back in 2011. Perhaps Angela should have been surprised when she gave birth to a tiny black laptop. But she'd been restless and frustrated these past 4 days, confined to the couch as her husband lectured her about sitting down, relaxing, the pains of labor taking their sweet time to develop, her body and soul feeling ever farther from the routine of her steady work week. And so, there in the hospital, the birthing process finally finished, presented with a laptop and not a child, Angela felt only relief. The doctor held the computer in his gloved hands, still connected by umbilical cord to its mother, and he choked out the words, "What did you do?" Angela's husband pointed at the thing and started to say, "You bitch," until he realized that it wasn't human, that no amount of cheating with any man of any color could have produced a sleek Darth Vader black machine. There were the inevitable shrieks and faintings in the birthing room, doctors and nurses passing through the door in a blur to offer explanations, to try to uncover what surely had to be a riddle. "How did this happen?" her husband asked. "The ultrasounds didn't..." But when the doctor, perhaps out of habit, mistakenly passed the laptop to Angela, Angela refused to let go and surrender her child, its slippery plastic surface wrapped in a towel. She dabbed at its edges as if to clear morning crust from its eyes, tried to stretch the cap over what she believed to be its head. Someone reached for the baby and mentioned the word tests, and someone else said observations. But Angela said, "No, I want to go home." The laptop had no heartbeat, and when Angela held tight after they clamped the umbilical cord, they couldn't justify taking it away and placing it into the nursery or into an incubator. Angela, in fact, appeared healthier than any other new mother the doctors had ever seen. She tried to look disappointed with this turn of events, of course, but here was this living machine in her hands, and you could tell it was terrified with so many hands grabbing at it. Its green power light blinked rapidly and spastically, like the darting eyes of a dog cornered. "I need time alone with him," Angela said. "Please." When she was released from the hospital, there were phone calls from lawyers and journalists and talk show hosts. "There's a message from TLC," her husband mentioned, now excited. "They even have a name for the show. AI, Angela's Intelligence." "We aren't a freak show," Angela said. "We will deal with this." And although the phone calls and house visits were a nuisance, making it difficult for Angela to get caught up with the glut of emails and the ever-growing workload from her missed time at the office, it was in many ways easier than having an actual baby. Aside from the whir of its fan, the laptop made little noise. When they opened him up and pressed the power button, the screen simply turned to a milky white-gray, as if it did not yet have the ability to display text or image. So they shut it for most of the day, let it sleep. Plugged in, it had no problem keeping warm, but sometimes she placed it atop a pillow and draped a blanket over its top. At dinner, Angela poured red wine for herself, enjoyed glass after glass, an indulgence from which she'd abstained through the duration of her pregnancy. Not a sip. She'd also created spreadsheets of everything she'd eaten: calories consumed, meat to vegetable ratios, vitamin intake, time spent indoors versus outdoors, cardiovascular exercise, arm strength, target weights and waist sizes, and flexibility. "I was so driven to be a perfect mother," she said after the first sip of wine, and she plugged the laptop into the charger and placed it atop the high chair. And you see where that got me. She made a frowny face, but then looked at the laptop and smiled as if joking, brushed her hand across its plastic scalp. "There's a guy calling from Esquire," her husband said. "Can you believe it?" The laptop was growing, too. Nothing noticeable from day to day, but while her husband was at the office, Angela carefully measured its screen, pencil sketched the dimensions onto the closet door. A full inch in Angela's first boring week home, another inch in the second week. "This isn't right," her mother said when she came by. She tried to take back the crates of diapers she'd purchased from BJ's. She wanted a refund if Angela wasn't going to use them. "I might still," Angela said. "It's metal and plastic," her mother said. "It's not a child." "It's a he," Angela said, "and he's listening to every word his grandmother is saying." "How can you be serious about this? It's no different than any of these things, these toys we bought for your baby showers." But the laptop did seem to have eyes, or a single eye at least, that blinking green power light on its lip, no larger than a Q-tip point, and wherever you went, it seemed to follow. "You've gone crazy," her mother said. "You need to sue that hospital. They did something to you. They stole your real child. They put something into you. Why isn't anyone asking the tough questions?" But Angela would hear none of it. She locked her mother out of the house. She blocked her mother's cell phone calls, her emails. She tore apart the sympathy cards from her in-laws. She curled up with her baby and watched recorded episodes of Dancing with the Stars, explaining the scoring system, why the audience booed Bruno when he gave the dancer a 6. "Someday you'll know all of this," Angela said to her baby, "and I won't even have to explain it to you." At night, she slept on the couch and watched the green eye of the laptop. Her husband came out occasionally, asked her to come back to bed, for God's sake, this is way too weird, and he was going to call back CBS if she didn't get a hold of herself. But she announced the next morning that she was going back to work. Her husband stammered, started several sentences, but could not finish any of them. It all seemed to be anger without direction. He'd wanted a boy, a live boy that would be tall and assertive and entrepreneurial, a basketball player too, he hoped. Of all the ways he'd imagined he could be disappointed, a girl, a boy who liked the Red Sox, or who wanted to play lacrosse, or was gay, this was not one of them. But this was another benefit, Angela explained. No daycare necessary. She could take her child to work. She could take him anywhere she needed to go. No fuss. She simply fit the laptop into her purse, checked him every few minutes to make sure the eye wasn't blinking its discomfort. He could breathe, right? Did he feel suffocated down there amid the chapstick and lip gloss and keys and old recipes? She talked into her purse while she rode the subway, and few took notice, though everyone grew uncomfortable when a troop of real children boarded the train on a field trip and began asking what the graffiti meant, why was that man so smelly, can I take this gum from the seat? When she arrived at her office, she set the laptop on her work desk, let him sleep while she checked her emails and her Outlook appointments on her work computer. But the eye flickered, like a child shifting his weight, bored at the grocery store. Was he jealous? Okay, Angela said. She opened him up, and the screen beamed bright white. She said. She faced the laptop toward the monitor of her computer. "Okay," she said. "This is an email. This is how I talk to my colleagues. I type messages." "Oh," she said, "and this is a spreadsheet. You see how I enter a new number?" The laptop's white screen was sharpening, images and text appearing. "Ah, you're learning," Angela said, and she thought, this is motherhood. Her co-workers watched at a distance, pointing and whispering. But weren't they the same ones who had complained to her of long Saturdays at the soccer fields, of ungodly loud instruments in the house, of Barbies in the cracks of couches, SpongeBob's on the toilet, Legos in the dog's food bowl? Welcome to hell, isn't that what Daniel had said when Angela first announced her pregnancy? And now look at her. Her own child would be smarter than any of theirs. Couldn't they see that? There were only lines and dots on the screen now, but in a few years, what if her child was wireless? Ask him a question and he'd Google an answer like that. This is what they wanted, wasn't it? Oh, just admit it. At the end of the workday, while her colleagues still toiled on projects and checked the clock and lamented that they might not leave until 7 or 8, Angela packed her child in her purse and waved goodbye. She would teach him Outlook, she decided. She would tickle him when she got home, her fingers against his keyboard. They would play all night, even while he charged. The world dark around them, his white screen etched with sharper and sharper detail. This would be their life, and it was everything Angela could have hoped for. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Ryan.